Yeah, I'm not sure. But anyway, I feel called to ask you this question. You mentioned earlier when we were talking about dating apps, you mentioned, how you fell in love with somebody
Mm.
that you met on Tinder, and basically it started as physical and then grown into something else. My question is, do you miss sex? Maybe, for all I know, you're having it every night of the week, but I have just started talking about this so much more openly, and I'm just going to put it out there again because apparently I can't shut up about this. But I did an episode it's called the one where I talk about sex, where I basically talked about the fact that despite having always been I guess what you would describe as a very sexual person and very passionate and always enjoyed sex with boyfriend, la la la,
Mm.
too much information.
Yeah.
But despite that, I literally don't give a shit. Like I literally don't give a shit. I don't even think about it. Now, I'm interested to know the answer to this because you're a guy.
Mm.
But do you mind answering this question?
No, not at all. That's perfectly fine.
Excellent.
I think it's a healthy question. It's weird as adults that we sometimes get these weird preconceived notions about what you can talk about. It's like sex is still one of those things. It's so taboo,
Yeah.
even though we're single. Of
Yeah.
course, we have sex, and of course, there's going to be casual instances when you meet people and those kind of things happen.
Not me.
But generally, I don't miss it. And whenever I was in my relationship, because of some medical reasons, I went through a period of no sex for 7 years. So I went through what a lot of people would refer to as a dry spell. I went through a very long period of time without sex. And you learn a lot about yourself during that kind of situation. Whenever you're in a relationship, but it's a non-sexual relationship, but you're a sexual person, you have to sit with it and actually pay attention to what's causing this. What can you do to deal with it? Whenever you're single, it's very similar. You kind of go through waves of it. And I think whenever you meet someone and you have that connection, immediately it becomes physical. But almost like the dating apps and almost like the what we mentioned earlier about how quickly you can kind of engage or evaluate somebody's relationship, the sexual connection that you have with someone is also one of those things that you very quickly go, oh, we don't mesh that well together either.
Mm,
And I don't want to be in a relationship where the sex isn't good.
yeah.
If it's not great from the very beginning,
Yeah.
okay, so what are we doing here? So is it just maybe we could be friends instead? And I think there's a weird notion that you can't be friends. If you wanted to be friends with someone, you can be friends with someone, even after you've had sex. If the two of you are adult and communicate and discuss it and go, okay, that wasn't for us, that did not work. We just don't connect on that level. I'm sorry. Maybe you were hoping for more. I think that maybe we could work better as friends and talk about the fact that we're both single and we're going through our own experiences and just go from there without putting any kind of pressures or labels. But the sex isn't what I was looking for. Um, so I found that whenever I meet someone, it's just one more kind of category. Whenever I'm meeting someone, if that's something that I'm interested in, or if that's something that works for the two of us.
Mm,
But if it doesn't, I think more now than I would have whenever I was in my 20s, I would go, no, no,
yeah.
that wasn't good. I'm done. Thanks.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's really interesting. Thank you for answering that. And
That's
yes, I
okay.
mean, it obviously is a very personal question, but actually, you know what? We are adults, aren't we? Why can't we,
Yeah.
people, it's funny because I think there's another stigma there is there's something, and I talked about this very, very recently in a very, very recent interview that I did with an awesome, awesome woman called Heidi Clements. We were talking about this, and as I said, I think there is such a stigma around if you would like, like I now admitted on a freaking podcast, God knows who's heard it. I've admitted that essentially I haven't had sex for 7 years. I've had
Mm,
sex with one guy about 4 years ago who was an absolute tosser. That didn't go anywhere. It was barely a fling.
mm,
But there's it's so stigmatized to like admit that you're
yeah.
not having sex and you're okay with it. Who the hell are you, Lucy Megison? Like,
It's almost like that one kind of golden blessing the couples kind of give to single people going, oh, you're single, you must be having sex all the time.
nope.
Have you seen what's out there? why would I?
But
That if that's not working for
also,
you, you know?
yeah, but also, I think there is an argument to say, and this is kind of what I've generally said about this, is that I think that I personally transmute my sex energies into all of the other pursuits that I have going on in my life.
Mm,
So I think that it's not that I'm not sexual. It's not that, if I met someone, I wouldn't, want to have obviously,
sure.
because I know that I would. I know put back in that situation with someone I fancied, yes. But the point that I'm trying to make is I think that it is possible to lead a perfectly happy life, single and not having any sex and not feel like you're lacking or missing anything. And it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you because what's happened to you? Are you now asexual? No. And even if I was, whatever, but as it happens, I'm not. But it's like, sex doesn't actually have to be an essential part of your life. Like you can go through, as I said, I've been single for 7 years. I've had sex with one person in that time, only a few times over a very short period of time.
Mm,
And guess what? I'm fucking fine,
yeah.
you know?
I think it's almost like the loneliness. It's one of those kind of emotions or feelings that if you sit with it on its own, it can drive you insane. If you're sitting there constantly just ruminating in this idea that, oh my God, I want to have sex with somebody and I'm not having sex with somebody. Why aren't I having sex with somebody? And you just get caught up in this idea that there's something wrong with you. And it's the same as loneliness. You're sitting there going, I feel lonely. Why am I lonely? Nobody wants to be with me. And you get caught up in that spiral again. I think both of those emotions, you can sit with them and they're dangerous on their own. If you can find some way to pair it with something and go, you know what? I am lonely, but I'm going to be lonely and I'm going to be content and I'm going to be lonely and I'm going to keep myself busy. Or I can be turned on and horny and wanting to have sex with somebody, but you know what? I'm going to go and I'm going to spend some time playing video games, or I'm going to go and find the book. I'm going to take it to this coffee shop. I'm going to sit in the corner, listen to my music, read my book. And then you find yourself distracted because you're not thinking about that anymore.
Yeah.
And you're just spending that time with yourself. And
Yeah.
you go, oh, okay, well, I was earlier on, but I'm just too busy for that kind of thing right now. I don't have the time to deal with that emotion or that feeling right now. I'm going to put my energy into something
Mm.
else. But if you're sitting there at 3 in the morning and you're just stuck in this idea of what you actually want, you'll just drive yourself mad. And
Yeah.
it's not healthy. You just need to find a healthy pairing for it. It's almost like alcohol. If you wouldn't drink straight vodka, if you're sitting with loneliness, it's just like straight vodka. You need to find something to pair it off with so that you can experience it if you need to, but you can go off and do other things and you go, you know what, I'll switch to drinking a bit more Dr. Pepper. I'll be all right.
Totally, totally. Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's funny because like as you so rightly say, if you're kind of focusing on it, and I think if I was watching lots of TV that had lots of sex in it, um, then I know that I would be like, oh my God, I really need a shag.
Hmm.
But actually, I don't. And when I do, like the odd thing I might watch, well, I don't even have a TV, but the odd thing I watch on Netflix, when there's a sex scene, I do kind of want it to hurry up because I'm like, oh my
I
God.
remember with 50 Shades, because I was one of the guys who was like, I'm going to read all of 50 Shades because I need to understand what's going on here because this seems to be an international phenomenon. I need to understand this. By the end of the second book, I was skipping sex scenes. I was so bored with the sex that was in it. And I think it's the same way whenever, I think if you listen to Hosier the entire time, you're going to sit and you're going to ruminate and you're going to feel lonely and you're going to feel emotional. And it can be very overwhelming because certain entertainment and things that we use to distract ourselves are kind of focused, like laser focused on this one emotion. And it's their job to trigger that in you. That's the thing about entertainment is to try and trigger this kind of feeling in you. Um, you just need to change the parameters. You need to find other things to do. And if you're finding yourself stuck in loneliness or feeling horny, if you change your focus and go, you know what? I know I can't do anything about this right now, but if I can go off for a walk, if I can go and do something else, like play the video games, or you know what, that friend that I was talking, I'm going to go and see a movie they were mentioning about going to see Dune. I should probably go and see Dune as well. So that way you can go off and you're sitting in the dark and you're watching Dune for 3 hours and you're going, actually, I'm fine now because I'm not stuck in the laser focus of being told that, you should be horny right now or you should be feeling lonely right now. Which is why I never watched Love Actually at Christmas. Because Love Actually at Christmas, I'd be like, "Oh, why don't I have that in my life?"
Well, do you know, it's so funny you mentioned Love Actually, because that, how you were talking about traditions earlier, that
Mm,
is one of my traditions by myself,
mm.
is I always watch Love Actually by myself before
And we
Christmas.
always tell Alan Rickman that he's an absolute scumbag and how dare he actually do that.
Oh God, I
And
know.